RPG A Day 2019, Day 4. The prompt for today is share. And we live at a time where role-playing games are everywhere. We are seeing the greatest amount of games, with more and more games being produced each day. There's possibly the greatest amount of players active at one time that we've ever seen, or at least at one time that we are able to communicate with each other. So this is the greatest opportunity to share our resources. There are more games and being produced at such a fast rate that even the producers of the games cannot keep up with the demand for more resources for the games they produce. So this is where we as a community come in. You know, if you buy a game and there's few monsters associated with it and you create a monster of your own, share it. This is the advantage of having this many people with such ease of communication. You can post your original content online on your blog posts or your Facebook videos or any form of social media, really. The key here is sharing so that everyone else can look back and find those. Some of those are easy, like the DM's Guild and now the Genesis Foundry for D&D 5th edition and Genesis respectively, sponsored by the actual developers of the games, where you can share your original content and even sell it for a few dollars. But it doesn't even matter if you sell them or not, as long as we can see them, as long as we have access to them. Again, anything, including a blog post or a Twitter message or something, puts that content out there for others to see. The key here is to share that. Tell other people where to find good content. So in the spirit of that, I'm gonna just share a couple of contacts of people that I follow constantly, who provide anything from resources to reviews to advice to just discussion on topics of interest to RPGs. These days, when I buy a new game and I try to learn it, I do a multimedia approach. I read the instructions, I look for videos of actual play, I look for videos of people discussing the game, I find podcasts of people talking about it. And so I'm constantly being, exposed to different angles or different takes on a game, and that helps me understand and assimilate the new processes, right, faster. So I'm going to put some links on the description and the video below, but, off the top of my head, I can share a few YouTube channels. If you're here, you probably have heard of Runeslinger, who, along with Autocratic, is responsible for sharing these RPG a day infographics and getting it out there to us. Ivan Mike, 1968, Complex Games Apologist, Dark Age of OSR, Stochastic Agency, Chalice and Chains, JDRD30, and Same Old G, to name a few. There's a lot more, but those have a lot of content and frequently updated, so that's a lot of stuff right there. For new channels that I've just discovered this year and I'm following along, I've found Dungeon Craft, which I'm enjoying immensely, about hacking your D&D games, and even for people who like miniatures and doing terrain and stuff like that. That's a great channel. Seth Skorkowski just won the Golden Ennie for online content, I believe. Seth does great reviews of games and modules, and he also has theory about games in a very entertaining package. Everybody's heard of Matthew Colville, probably. Very entertaining, a lot of content and theory as well. And for reviews, there's also Questing Beast, who was also nominated. I can't recall if he won a prize. I have to double check that. But Questing Beast does great reviews. And there's a small review channel that I like to follow, which is Bud's RPG Review. He does great Delta Green stuff. For podcasts, it's all going to depend on which system you're using, right? The ones that I usually check are the Order 66 podcast for Star Wars Fantasy Flight, the Dice Pool podcast, which is very similar, but is for Genesis and Shadow of the Beanstalk, the Tome Show for D&D, and the Tome Show is it's a family of podcasts, right? There's a lot of podcasts under the Tome Show umbrella. Many of them are I listen to, but I just gonna call out Tome Show itself. The DM's Deep Dive, which is Mike Shea's channel, the Sly Flourish, who does the Lazy Dungeon Master books. The Gauntlet Podcast, which talks about mainly indie games. They do a lot of Apocalypse World stuff, but every new indie game that comes out, they talk about it, and I think they do play it. So it's a combination of, theory and actual play in terms of experience, right? They don't do the actual play in the Gauntlet channel, but they have other actual play channels associated. The Gauntlet does give you reviews based on play experience, so that's always good. And a sub-channel of the Gauntlet podcast called The Fear of a Black Dragon, which is reviews and analysis of OSR-type products. So those are the ones that come to mind. There are tons more. Looking forward to today's answer, see what other people share so I can subscribe to new channels and find more stuff. So that's it. See you tomorrow, guys. Bye-bye.